Gum Gurubhyo Namaha, Gum Ganapataye Namaha, Sam Saraswate Namaha. So, I've shared the script. You got it, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's get started on the mantra number 4. Nayamatma balahinena labhyo nacha pramadattapaso vapyalingat. Nayamatma balahinena labhyo nacha pramadattapaso vapyalingat. Etairupayairyatate yastu vidvanstasyaisha atma vishate brahmadhama. Etairupayairyatate yastu vidvanstasyaisha atma vishate brahmadhama. Mantra number 5. Samprayena mrishayo jnanatriptaha kritatmano vitaragaha prashantaha te sarvagam sartah prapya dhira yuktatmanah sarvameva vishanti. Te sarvagam sartah prapya dhira yuktatmanah sarvameva vishanti. These are the two mantras. Ayam means this. Again, Atma is Atman. Balahinena, by one destitute of strength. Now, labhyah is not attainable. Pramadat, by the inattentive. Inattentive. Nacha means nor. Va means or. Alingat, improper. Tapasah, by tapas. Api, also. Na, not. There labhyah is understood. Yah means that. Vidwan, referring to the wise. Etaihi, these. Upayaihi means. Yatate, attempts. Tasya, his. Eshah, this. Atma, the Atman. Brahmadhama, the world of Brahman. Vishante, enters. So I understand it is difficult to just grasp the individual words' meaning and keep track of what I said just now. The summary, as we always go, is this Atman that you're trying or in search of is never attained by the weak. Weak means people who are very weak, not physically weak, mentally weak. We never talk of physically weak, right? We are always focused on the subtle body. Nor by the inattentive. So if you're not paying attention, if you're not focused, if you're not grasping what you're learning, and implementing it, you're not going to attain it. Obviously, because you will not know what it is and you'll just go blind. Nor even by any improper austerity. We have discussed this in one of the mantras in detail, one or two mantras in the past. What does it mean by improper austerity?
Like doing tapas, that's not very logical, actually. Not like undue tapas.
Mm-hmm.
So not giving charity, not giving. There are some
No.
things. No?
By improper austerity means, if you remember, they said you have to have the discipline and the consistency. And austerity means you have to start giving up the desires one by one, because it is a desire which brings you back to life, right? So improper austerity means I'm doing fasting for 2 days, but the third day I'm having a 7 course meal. Or like, I have signed for the gym membership, so I've taken the first step, but I never went to the gym. Or I went to the gym and worked out 4 hours a day for 1 week, but then for 2 months and I've never visited the gym. These are all like improper austerity. It's not like for the sake of doing it. This is conditioning. The mind is conditioning. Conditioning means it has to be exactly like a physical gym exercise that you do. Only if you keep doing every day with that particular consistency will you be able to build your muscles or strength, physical strength. Same way, the mind has to be conditioned and kept in a conditioned way consistently. That austerity, it can start small, gradually increase, or you can stay at the same level for some time, and but there has to be that attempt every day, consistently, right? Not saying, okay, I'll fast in the morning, but night I will have a solid lunch or dinner. That doesn't make sense, because what you did in the morning is already neutralized by your actions in the later part of the evening, right? So that is what means is meant by any improper austerity. So everything is related to the mind, how you are conditioning that mind, how you are able to stay away from that attraction towards desires, longings, and wishes, and which will take on to greed and envy, right? The wise means the educated one. The wise means not the street smart one. Please understand that. The wise is the educated one that believes in the system, that has learned the system, that has understood the system, and has implemented the system, embraced the system, who strives with all these means, his Atman enters into the world of Brahman. मतलब अगर आपको, if you want to know, realize the Atman within yourself, you can enter that world only through this education and austerity, two key elements which are required. So I was drinking 10 times a day coffee. Now I'm drinking only 5 a day. That is my tapas. Yeah, sounds good. You're only dragging your period of realization of Atman. You may not reach your self-realization in 10 years, but maybe in 50 years. Because by virtue of the very definition where you are not understanding the concept and pursuing it very sincerely, it will be delayed. So I think the main attempt of this mantra is to say that, okay, in the name of doing something, don't get sidetracked. Understood what is required to be done and pursue what needs to be done, rather than defining what you are doing as what was expected. I don't want to use strong words in the class, so but you know what I mean. अपने आप को आप cheat मत करिए. Be honest to yourself is what the message is. So by any improper austerity, again, it is referring from the word alingat. Alingat means without a proper mark or sign. So this definition of alingat in a proper context of austerity or the tapas or a sannyasi life was provided by none other than Sri Adi Shankara. So if you don't have that austerity or the sannyasa, and again sannyasa, I've said in the past, the moment I said to say sannyasa, don't look at the saffron robe and those things. Sannyasa or tapas is the way you live your life. It's not like the those sannyasas or sannyasins who wear saffron robe or kavi color robe, the light brown color. That doesn't make you a sannyasi or a sannyasin. It is the start where you start thinking in that word. So here again, tapas consists of gaining knowledge and putting in a very disciplined, strict, stringent life in towards a certain goal. Okay. So when you again the hint when you're saying that the wise enters the world of the Atman is the Jivatma that you talk of. You realize that, and by entering that, you realize that this Jivatma is nothing different than the Paramatma. So at the time when you do that realization is when that duality disappears. You always say no, but especially you have mentioned that many a times. uh, but I'm doing this, but God is supposed to have mercy on me. So you're always visualizing it as I am separate from God. I've commented also, God is not some two-handed, two-legged person sitting at the top in the clouds as shown in the movies. God is within you. That mindset change is what is required. So when you say I have realized my Atman within my body, the God within my body, that is the time when you also realize this is not different from the Paramatma. That merging also happens at the same time. So samprayai namrishyo jnanatृप्ताः कृतात्मनो वीतरागाः प्रशान्ताः ते सर्वगं सर्वतः प्राप्य धीरा युक्तात्मानः सर्वमेवा विशन्ति. The next mantra, enam, this, samprapya, having attained, rishayah, rishayah is to, reference is to the seers, SWERS, or the sages. Jnanatriptaha, self-contented through jnanam. Jnanam means knowledge. Self-contented. Kritatmanaha, self-realized. Vitaragaha, again the key word is being freed from all attachments. Prashantaha, here the word bhavanti is understood, embedded in that. Prashantaha is tranquil. You know what is meaning of tranquil? Any one of you? Tranquil is peace. PEACE. वो जो शांत दिमाग में शांति बैठता हो. Te is they. Yuktatmanah is self-controlled. Dhiraha is again the wise. Sarvagam means the all-pervading Brahman. Sarvatah is everywhere. Prapya, having realized. Sarvam, into all. Avishanti, enter. Avishanti means again enter. Having attained, it means self-realization. The rishis become satisfied with the knowledge, self-realized. They are at peace, they attain tranquility, and they are free from all desires. Those self-centered wise ones, having realized the all-pervading one in all, enter into all. That is what I explained in the last part of the previous mantra when I was explaining it. Yes, Padmaja, you were saying something? Padmaja, your video is going on and off and you were frozen. I thought you were trying to say something.
I think my internet is not good, Mr. Nabiram.
It's okay. Now I
That is
can,
internet problem.
yeah, now I can see you. It's okay. You want me to repeat anything? So those self-centered, etc. The meaning is the wise seers realize this Atman as interlooming all beings, and this Atman again is their very self. Self-centered is not what we commonly colloquially use as selfish people. Self-centered means inward-looking person who is realizing the inner self. So the tatparyam or the meaning here is, if you have realized the inner self within you with your knowledge, discipline, austerity, and tapas and consistency, you will realize that Brahman within you, and you will also realize that this Brahman is no different than the Paramatma. So, again, a little bit more explanation of mantra number 4. To summarize, that mantra said, a person who is devoid of strength. That means those weak minded people who want to give a half hearted attempt. अरे यार ठीक है, कुमार इतना बोल रहा है तो कोशिश कर लेते हैं, चलो एक हफ्ता कोशिश कर लेते हैं, एक हफ्ते में कुछ होने वाला नहीं है. These are commitment long term in a consistent way that you keep doing it, automatically the results will start flow. You have to believe in that system, and once you start, you keep at it consistently because it is your priority in life. All of a sudden, you cannot say, "Oh, I got a big job and now I'm dropping everything and going away for a couple of years, making a lot of money and then coming back." That means you're back into that system. And simple answer: as long as you have those desires and greed, and you chase those goals, your rebirth is assured, right? You're going far away from the path of self-realization. So you have to have strong mental strength, not austerity which doesn't hold water, which means consistently you are expected to do what you are expected to do and you do it. So it sets out certain prerequisites in the meditation of the Atman. When you're meditating and you're thinking about Atman, it means you're talking about the Brahman within yourself. So strength is mental strength. When you say strength, mental strength is also meaning the moral power. So mental strength is not like I am very rigid. You told me to be very rigid and strict and consistent. I am, but in the wrong sense. You know, where you're very adamant about certain things, or you have a definition of what you're doing and you're sticking to that point just to prove your point. That doesn't help. You have to be on the right side of the track, right? In counseling, I give a very simple example to people to understand how it hurts themselves if they don't get the point right, right? So, for example, people will keep on arguing with me. You told me to do this, and I'm able to do it, and I made significant progress. According to them, they are making progress. Progress is measured by I was standing here, and now I'm 10 meters ahead of where I was. So I made progress. I just flip them around, and then I say, will you agree to that even now? Because yes, you are making 10 meters progress, but you're standing in the opposite direction when you started. So instead of making progress, you have taken yourself back 10 meters. So just moving from where you are to reaching another destination doesn't mean progress. You have to make sure that you are facing the right direction. Does it make sense? So validate, gain knowledge, understand exactly what is being asked, and follow it. Then you will see the result. It's also like the GPS. You put a GPS for direction and destination, and you don't follow it. You take the if the GPS says go north and you go south, you'll never reach your destination. Okay, so moral power, inner toughness, because without these two, your concentration and focus or meditation is not possible. Correct. Now, when we talk of ignore the physical part, that is in sort of in as a principle. I'm saying it. So if you're, let us say, physically very weak, you're starved, you have not had food for many days, right? Or you have not slept for many days. Then talking about the subtle body, mind, focus, concentration, inner power, etc., is all theoretical, hypothetical. It is not going to happen. So here it is assumed that your physical condition is stable. Wherever you are, it's stable. So again, when we start a class, we do the dhyana shlokam, etc. It's those simple practices that we talk about. Physically stabilize yourself. Don't start panting, running. Increase your BP, increase your heartbeat, gas for breath. All of those things cannot happen. They are assumed that you stabilize that first. Only then you can focus on mind and concentration. So where do you derive your inner strength from? It's nice to talk about inner strength and moral power, etc., etc. Where do you get that strength from? It is by believing in the process, believing in the system, having the divine outlook that all these things are divine. This is not about commerce or business or trade. You're not doing this to defeat somebody, or you're not doing this to prove something to somebody. This is all about you are in pursuit of your inner self. So that divine thoughts are important. And focus on belief on the meditation of the Atma. Right? So first you talk of physical stability. Then you have the mental strength or moral power by believing in the system, following the protocol, maintaining the consistency, maintaining the austerity. Austerity means start slowly giving up stuff that is distracting you and taking you in the direction of desires, and keep at it with focus, where you're able to focus on yourself and devoid of all other distractions. So in the process of all of what I described in the last 2 minutes, what is the most important keyword that you need for you to be able to do all of this stuff?
Discipline.
Sorry?
Discipline.
Discipline I included in what I said, but to do all of this stuff, what is that one important keyword? Knowledge. See, you can say, yes, whatever you say, I will do it, but how will you do it without the knowledge of how to do it and what to do? Right? So don't ignore that keyword knowledge. That is very critically important for you to be able to implement whatever you've been asked to do. So there also, don't ignore your duties towards your grahasthashram. There are some people who are 29 years of age watching my videos and also trying to learn offline. I keep telling that person, it's good that you're starting to learn at this age, but don't forget you have certain duties for the next 20 years. So learning is good. You're only advancing your learning part of it, but the actual implementation of the austerity, it can start in a small way, that you are disciplined from a young age itself. But when you are in the married way, the grahastha ashram, there are certain duties and responsibilities that you cannot give up. So you have to take care of those before you embark on this path of self-realization. I think the next mantra I have given enough explanation. Any question on this so far? No? No question? मुझे लगा बहुत सारा क्वेश्चंस होगा.
In samprapne vishya jnana tripta kritatmano vitaraga prashantaha.
Yeah, what is it? What is it about it?
The person who is self-contented, self-realized, then kritatmano vitaraga. I think I missed out what you said.
Okay. I'll explain that. Kritatmanaha means self-realized. Krita atmanaha. So kritatmanaha, self-realized. Vitaragaha, being freed from all attachments.
Okay.
You want to repeat any of the meanings of any of the mantra words, keywords? Sanjay, Sonalji? Okay. Okay. We have talked about the chakras at a high level, right? Do you remember what it is? आउट ऑफ द सिलेबस पूरा क्वेश्चन एकदम आउट ऑफ सिलेबस डाल दिया आज हिस्ट्री का पेपर था ज्योग्राफी में क्वेश्चन आ गया
Okay, energy centers.
करेक्ट हाउ मेनी आर दे
7.
करेक्ट वेयर डज इट स्टार्ट
Kundalini, Muladhara.
Muladhara. Where is Shakti residing?
Muladhara.
Correct. The next Swadhisthana, who resides?
Swadhisthana.
Who resides there? Ganapati.
Gods are said to be residing in Muladhara, I think so. All the gods, and any slokam Parchanaka we say Muladhara Nivasini, no? Ganpati Arkatam, Devi Arkatam.
இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் ரிசர்ச் பண்ணுங்க Okay. Who resides in Sahasrara?
Sahasrara, Shiva.
Correct. What is the whole process of all this chakra concept? What are we trying to do?
Union of Shakti and Shiva.
Correct. Through?
Yes.
Rising the Kundalini. Correct. So, where are the chakras lined up?
Along the spinal cord.
Correct. So far, so good. Sanjay and Sonalji, are you in sync with what she's saying or anything unclear?
No, clear.
Clear. When you say energy centers, how do they look? Are they like stickers pasted on your body or are they something in a different direction?
No, it's not a sticker. Stick on the bottom. Yeah.
Go ahead. Sonalji, you finish and then maybe Sanjay was saying something. We can hear him also.
I was thinking that they're in a cone shape like this, front and back, facing forward and back, and then the top one and the bottom are downwards and upwards.
Okay. Sanjay?
Like a pit.
Sanjay?
Yeah, they are not stick to it. Basically, it is in a circular fashion.
Okay. So let me explain that in a very simple way. Imagine it is a lotus which is flattened out. The petals are flattened out. So it is like a disc with multiple petals. Okay. They are all with the center of the spine is the center stem around which those petals are there in those respective positions. Got it? Except for one small area, the general rule is these are stacked at 12 inches height gap. And there is a significance of that, which we can go into detail some other time. Including this here is 12 inches above. The nadis, there are 72,000 of them, all named, identified, where it starts, where it ends, what is the purpose. Where do you hear most of them, Padmija? Where do you hear?
Nadis. Okay, one Ayurvedic doctor.
No. In spiritual side. If you're learned Bhavana Upanishat Prayoga Vidhi, take that again and go into each of those line when you say Namaha. What is that Namaha about? You'll understand. So that is one place. The most important three of the 72,000 are Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna. That Ida and Pingala are coiled around the spine like a serpent. So गोरे लोग ने अच्छा नाम दिया उसको, serpent power. Okay, so the serpent's tail is starting at the Mooladhara and it is ending at the Sahasrara. So Sushumna is going through the center of the spine like a straight line. So whenever you say Kundalini energy is raised, it is raised through the Sushumna Nadi. Now the number of petals on each of the chakra centers are different. Some have got 4, some have got 6, 12, 16. The top one is 1000. Isn't beautiful science, Sonalji?
Yes.
So now this is not operating on its own. The nadis and the chakras are connected. So in a very layman's term, the nadis go from one point to the other point all over the body. Nadis are not nerves or veins or arteries. दोनों सिस्टम को डिस्कनेक्ट कर दो आप. Since we are communicating in English for no better alternative, you start drawing equivalent. Pranaha is not soul, exact. It's not one and the same. But we keep saying all those comparisons because we need to use the English term. Same way, Nadi is not nerves. That is the first unlearning you have to do. Nadis you can imagine as energy pathways. आइडेंटिफाइड पाथवेज, वो पूरा हाईवे जैसा वो मैप करके रखा है, यहाँ से स्टार्ट होता है, यहाँ एंड होता है, वगैरह वगैरह. So 72,000 is clear, out of which 14 are very important. Of the 14, 3 are the most important. Ida, Pingla and Sushumna. I think I've also explained this once. आपने श्री कैलाश यात्रा किया था हमारे साथ में सोनल जी. वैशाली बहन ने एक्सप्लेन भी किया था इडा पिंगला के बारे में. आपको याद है?
Something, yeah.
Yes.
I remember the names and
हाँ, आपको याद है एक पूरा रिवर एक साइड से आता है, जब भी आप स्ट्रीम आप ये कर रहे हो, परिक्रमा कर रहे हो, तभी there was one stream that was always there on while you were doing the first leg.
yeah.
There is another stream that was running with you parallelly in the third leg.
Okay.
One is Ida and one is Pingala.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
I don't remember.
Beautifully she explained. So that is where I appreciated her knowledge also. She's not like a tour guide. She understands the system. So
Yes.
remember that whatever we are talking of within the body, I also told you, is the representation in the universe, cosmos. These are all like we are all small miniature version of the macrocosm, microcosm, macrocosm, everything. It's like a carbon copy. Make sense?
Hello?
Yeah. Sanjay, are you able to hear us?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because,
Yes.
okay. So there are 350,000 channels with the 72,000 nadis. I'm just going to throw numbers today. The next one, I will go into some of the specific nadis, where it starts, where it ends, what it does, etc.
The couple wala the things.
Got it? So imagine that those energy pathways connect point A to point B, but they carry the energy. They all connect also in these chakras. Certain nadis connect to a certain chakra. The other part of the nadis connect to certain chakra. So whenever you talk of nyasa, whenever you talk of any kind of a pressure, acupressure principle, they all are functioning on the principle of these energy pathways. They are not working out any kind of a magic or black magic या काला जादू कोई नहीं कर रहे. They know those energy pathways. They are masters at that. And when you say that I am diseased, I've got sickness, I am diseased, there is a disease in me. It could be anything, sugar, BP, high blood pressure, anything, memory loss, absent-mindedness, or even Parkinson's. They believe that these energy pathways are blocked. which causes that imbalance. अरे क्या इडा पिंगला सब कहानी सुना रहे हो यार, मुझे तो सीखना था मुंडक उपनिषद. No. Why it is so significant? Even during the day, the way you behave, your personality, your demeanor, your thought process and decision making capabilities are heavily controlled by Ida and Pingala. Heavily controlled. So if there is an imbalance, like Ida is dominating Pingala or Pingala is dominating Ida, it is going to control or decide your behavior. So if you don't even know why you're doing what you're doing and you start assigning reasons and you blame everybody else around you or the situation around you or God without realizing God is within you, there's no point. None of the previous mantra explanation that I gave is going to have any meaning. अरे यार वो बोलना आसान है. You don't know how it means to live in Pune or Mumbai, the kind of pressures we face. You're sitting in America and giving these philosophical talks. It is not that. You need to understand your body, how the body functions, what are the key components, how they all connect. When you know the connect, you know where the controls are, and it is easy for you to attempt to bring everything in balance. That is one of the reasons why such level of information is being shared with you. Am I making sense? This is where they say, na, the wise, knowledge करके बोलते हैं, तो knowledge is the key word. You need to have knowledge of all these things. And couple of classes prior, I also asked, put your hand in your heart, and how many of you know about yourself? Nobody could confidently say, yes, I know. Right? So if you don't even know what is your system comprised of, दूर की बात है, how does it function in individual terms and how does it function in a combination dynamic? Correct? So पहले तो नाम पता होना है, देन उसको इंडिविजुअली कैसे काम करता है, ओ दिस नाडी इज फ्रॉम हियर टू हियर, दिस इज डूइंग दिस जॉब, देन यू स्टार्ट वर्किंग अबाउट द कॉम्बिनेशन. ये सारा 72,000 मिलके क्या खिचड़ी बनाता है डेली मॉर्निंग टू इवनिंग टिल यू स्लीप इज द नेक्स्ट लेवल. सोनल जी बहुत टेंशन में दिख रही है आज.
I just want to, I'm very curious to learn about how to charge up the nadis. Yeah. I suppose it's to breath. Is it?
Yeah, so I'll summarize that. But let's understand first what the systems are. I will share a picture next class or before the next class. That gives a very high level, not 72,000 because it will be a mess of a diagram. But at least I think it includes 14 nadis in a picture. So graphical एक representation आपको visualize करने के लिए help होगा. So I'll share that picture of the nadis and the chakras, and also understand that these are all in different koshas. So you have to view your body from a kosha angle, right? From a physical, subtle, causal body angle. You'll have to understand how these nadis work. You'll have to understand how the prana flows through these nadis, how they are connected like a hub and spoke with the chakras. So it is not like, अभी तुमने नाड़ी सीखा मैं नाड़ी पकड़ के बैठ जाऊंगी. I am supposed to attain self-realization. ऐसा नहीं होता है. You have to understand the entire system. Then you can make an attempt to say, okay, I'll start from here slowly, my next goal is here. You can put yourself some timetable. ये सारा चीज हम कर सकते हैं. So whatever I've been saying for the last 6-7 months, I'm trying to connect all the dots for you in a sort of a mental diagram that you can have. Because moment I say, imagine your X-ray, आपको skeleton नहीं आएगा, because that is what you have been taught since childhood, right? The bones, the skeletal structure. और द इनर एनाटमी, यहाँ पे हार्ट है, यहाँ पे ब्रेन है, ये लिवर है, पैंक्रियास है, स्टमक है, यही आपको ध्यान में है. जो क्रिटिकल कंपोनेंट जो है सटल बॉडी का, ये कोई सिखाया नहीं है. दैट्स व्हाई इट इज बिकमिंग एब्स्ट्रैक्ट. अगर पहले से अगर आप सीखते थे इसके बारे में, तो यू कुड हैव डन मेनी थिंग्स इन टर्म्स ऑफ अटेम्प्टिंग टू वर्क ऑन दैट सिस्टम. इट्स नेवर टू लेट. ठीक है. सो कितना नाड़ी से टोटल?
72,000.
करेक्ट. How many channels are there using those 72,000?
32,000?
350,000 channels. 350,000 Indian context में. Out of the 72,000, how many are important?
14.
14.
No, 3.
14, correct answer. Out of the 14, 3 are the most important. That controls your day-to-day function. I will just give one word. Try to do some research before the next class. The word is Khanda. Khanda, Khanda, Kanda. Try to do some research on Khanda.
No, in Hindi it is K. First K.
Yeah. You'll be surprised. कि भाई ऐसा कुछ word भी है is related to my body. Have you heard the word before? See? Very, very important. You're on mute, Padmaja.
No, the process I have heard is Kandam or Canto in our Bhagavatam.
That we are talking, no? So, first Mundaka, second Khanda. That is Khanda, not Kanda. This is K, not KH. Yeah. So remember, Yajnarata Mama has shared the example in Devi Mahatyam. There is a requirement for ir in one place about when you are chanting about Bharya. If you chant without that ir, no, you're actually wishing very bad for your spouse, wife. Instead of wishing very good for her, you're actually wishing very bad every day. So if you chant that without the ir every day, you're actually wishing bad for your wife. So that typo or spelling is very, very important. What you're talking, Khanda, is chapter. This is Khanda, Kanda. Do some research. Right, wrong answer doesn't matter. At least it will set the context for you. I've given you the stage with the nadis, chakras, etc. And we will start in the next class with that Khanda, understanding what is the Khanda and how it is connected with nadis. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Did you find it interesting today, or most of you were very dull? So that's why I'm. If you're.
This is interesting. Very.
And again, the letters that when we are saying the Nyasam, the K in the right shoulder, Ch in the left shoulder, they are connected with the nadis then.
Okay. Each person can have their own different opinions. I've learned Nyasam in the context of learning Vedas at a young age, right? At that time, nobody explained to me this Nyasam is physical body, subtle body, causal body, etc., etc. Until Raghuji clarified. Beautiful. See, when they explain, no, if you don't pay attention, you will lose important data points. He doesn't repeat it every day. Like I repeat many things many a time. Raghuji will not keep repeating it every time. In a context of some explaining something, he will say, Nyasa, you're supposed to do, imagine all the three layers. You have to grasp that input that he gives, right? When you do Nyasa, you're basically invoking a god, right?
Okay.
Into that part of the body. So if theoretically you're explained that, but mentally you don't believe in it and you don't visualize it, then that whole process or system doesn't work. So let us say I'm using this one word, middle finger. Ram Agnyatmane. Ram is a Bijaksharam assigned to Agni Devata. So these positions and these Bijaksharams and these Devatas are all fixed.
Yeah.
So you are invoking those gods by Sparsham. Main thing is the Sparsham. You can't have gloves and do all these things.
Right.
So skin to skin Sparsham is important. You typically touch it with the tip of the fingers, not with the nail or not with the hand. You just take two fingers, these two fingers. There is also explanation that I've given other people. What are the significance of these five fingers? Why these two fingers for Nyasam, etc. I don't want to go into that level of detail, but there is a significance why you use these two fingers, right? And you use two fingers, not one. And you keep your finger at that part of the body to energize that point. Now, when you do that across various points in a particular path, you're energizing that path. If you want to go to more advanced levels, even that single point that you start with in the basic course, there will be sort of a petal, lotus petal shaped structure where you go around with variations of that part. Clue. Let's say that one part is with lam, la akshara. Advanced level will
Yeah.
use the matruka expansion for la. Lam, lum, lam, leem, lom, lame. Go around it. Am I making sense? Sonalji probably is finding it difficult to
Yeah.
follow because she has not learned.
Yeah.
Ah.
I mean, I'm very interested and I'm very interested to learn, but I don't know any of this.
I will tell you exactly what to do if you're so interested offline.
I am.
Otherwise, I'll be marketing something which I don't want to be marketing on YouTube.
No, I'm very interested.
Yeah. So you and I need to connect for 5 minutes offline. Not today, maybe next week. I'll explain that. Whoever is interested, I can explain it. That's not a problem. But the point is that nyasa is done across the energy pathways. Those points are identified. They are not some random points selected for no reason. And you do shuddhi by doing that nyasa before you embark on anything big. Right? Imagine आपको दीन से उठाया, बेड से उठा के बिठा दिया और बोला कि अभी आत्मन पे ध्यान करो. Of course, you're going to close because you're sleeping and closing your eyes. Now you'll sit and close your eyes. That's the difference. आपको मेडिटेट करते करते ही आपको घंटों निकल जाएंगे. Because it is not easy to transition from one state to another state real quick unless you are a master at it. So these are the processes by which you start energizing your body, which otherwise is dull and in a state of rest, is not active. Kundalini by default is inactive in every human body. अगर आप पैदा हुए और आप वीजा मिलने तक आपको पता भी नहीं चला कुंडलिनी करके है तो आपका रीबर्थ एश्योर्ड है एकदम. You can keep coming back and forth. Multiple entry visa मिलते रहेगा. So at some point, when somebody says that you are lucky enough to be coming across people who are giving you knowledge, sharing knowledge with you, it means that is God's signal to you. Listen, go and attend this course, go and get this gyan, and then you build upon it. Everything cannot be fed to you. You have to take that as a course. When university में ये पढ़ा और ये मुझे सिखाया गया, and I'm now building on it. I'm expanding on it, and I'm putting a game plan for myself. Game plan for Padmaja would be different than for you, Sonalji, and for Sanjay, and for Radha and Rusha. Because while the template is the same, as I said, Shat Chakra, everything is the same, Nadi is the same, everything is same. There are some subtle differences. How the energy flows within a male body versus a female body. There are subtle differences. ये knowledge जरूरी है, right? Like for example, with your driving habits in UK, you can go to India and comfortably drive, but you can't do the same in US. You'll cause accidents. And I'm not saying this as a joke. When we migrated to the US, there were 3 people who were tagged onto me. Until the day of the driving test, those guys said, Kumar, you're the most experienced driving both left side, right side. You first go. We will see what happens in the test and then we will follow you. I said, I have no problem. When I was about to sit in the car with that inspector, that one guy pushed me and he said, no, I have changed my mind. I want to go first. I said, okay, no problem. I stood. So the trainer who trained all of these people for 1 month was standing at a starting point, and this guy went with the inspector in the track. Smooth जा रहा था, बहुत बढ़िया जा रहा था एकदम. So everybody thought this guy has learned very well. But within about 2.5 minutes, they came back to the base. And the trainer said, this is the shortest test I've ever seen in my life. Something is wrong. तो हम लोग सोच रहे थे क्या wrong क्या हो सकता है, because the drive was smooth. It was not like start, stop and hiccup and all. So inspector came, he says, great driver. I mean, he'll be one of the greatest driver, I can assure you. He knows how to handle the car, very experienced guy, but I can't give him the license. So trainer asked, what was the problem? He says, only problem is he was driving on the wrong side of the road. I can't let him go live. So it is not just enough to say, I know the names of these things. You need to know the subtlety. So you start with basic knowledge, then you go slightly advanced, go and understand the subtlety of these things and understand the whole system, how it functions, right? So nyasam is one important component to energize. Focus meditation is important. Doing this pranayama, is important, right? This physical stability which we talk of, which is a very necessity for the mental stability as well as the focus, concentration, etc. You have to understand that sequence, and you can't just do it in some random order. Am I making sense? So एक उदाहरण के तौर पे आपको देता हूँ. If you go back to 2-3 mantras before or classes before, we talked about pancha sensory organs and what happens through that. It is like what you see, you respond to it. There is a stimulus and response. Correct? You can control that process only if you know what is happening and where the control is with you. So knowledge is essential. Data तुमको आप लोगों को मिल रहा है, उसको आप observe करिए. Organize your closet the way you understand and remember. Get your doubts clarified. Don't hold back saying that, "Oh, how can I ask?" I have never hesitated from repeating certain things 1,000 times, because if the job is to share knowledge and teach, I rather do it in a proper way instead of saying, "I have taught you 5 times. Why are you asking the same question?" Make sense? So don't hesitate in asking questions. You may not get all the answers ready. Some you may get, some you may have to figure out yourself. But knowledge is key, persistence is key, and understanding the whole dynamics is key. Don't take any knowledge selectively and hang on to it. That is what is meant by saying you have to be very true to yourself. Don't do something wrong and stick to that and trying to win an argument. No, you told me to do this. I have been doing it, but there is no result. You have to believe in the system, and you have to believe that if something is not working out, it means you have not learned something properly or you're not implementing it properly. That discipline is what is being true to oneself. Make sense? So don't get overwhelmed. If there are certain things that are coming to you too soon, it will come back later also. But you must know there are so many things out there that is required for me to know. I would stop at that. Again, the keyword is Khanda. Please do the research and see if you are able to share anything in the next class. Okay, take care. Have a nice day.
Yeah, today we didn't get the notification 10 minutes remaining, 15 minutes remaining.
In the class, no?